I want to get to the Denzel video if we can, but I want to ask this quick third one from that first video. The quote is, "You're not born with character, you build it." And I was gonna challenge him on that, and then as I thought about it, I think I would agree, but I want to just open that up to the panel. What do you think about that, Andre? What do you think about that? You're not born with character, you build it.
In my own opinion, I kind of agree with that quote.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot that I was born with, like insecurity and no self-confidence, and a lot of things that were holding me back that I had to learn how to deal with, and then also the person I am today.
Yeah,
the character I was, I want to say 15 years ago.
Yeah,
that's a different character. So yes, character, you have to build character.
Yeah,
you can build a negative character or you can build a positive character.
Yeah. And how about you, maybe Isaiah? What are your thoughts about that? You're not born with character, you build it.
Yeah, I think I totally agree, and I think also it's partly you building it based on your experiences and the way you react to those, but also what's thrown at you in life, right? You can't control that. And so for the most part, and so, your what you interact with and what's given to you, your plate also helps to shape your character. The video was great. I think, the way he spoke, just had me ready to run through a wall. But, and I think I agree, though. I think character is built and based on the way you live your life, the way you, react to things and the way, you just go about carrying yourself.
Yeah, I think I agree too. Let's take a look at the second video. We got a little time. This is Denzel Washington, and it's a montage of speeches that he's given, sound bites from different speeches. Really, really motivational. It's a little longer than that one. It's 9 or 10 minutes long. But take a look at that. I've got one question that I like to address, but we don't have to be limited to that. If you've got something you want to talk about for our panel, just jot down a little note and we'll talk about it as a group. But why don't you take a look at this this compilation of some nuggets of wisdom from Denzel Washington, and then we'll come back in a sec.
I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror, and every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me, and she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. First of all, she said, "Somebody give me a piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper." She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it, I couldn't say it, I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. I was a 1.8 GPA one semester, and the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Fail big. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought. So I'm in the wings. I'm about to go on stage, but the guy in front of me, he's singing like Pavarotti, and I'm just shrinking. I'm getting smaller and smaller. So they say, "Oh, thank you very much, and you'll be hearing from us." So I come out with my little sheet music, and so I assumed I didn't get the job. But the next part of the audition, he called me back. The next part of the audition is the acting part of the audition. No, I'm like, hey, okay, maybe I can't sing, but I know I can act. So they pair me with this guy, and again, I didn't know about musical theater. And musical theater is big, so they can reach everyone all the way in the back of the stadium. And I'm more from a realistic, naturalistic kind of acting where you actually talk to the person next to you. So I don't know what my line was. My line was, well, hand me the cup. And his line was, well, I will hand you the cup, my dear. The cup will be there to be handed to you. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Fall forward. The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? While it may be frightening, it will also be rewarding. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Without commitment, you'll never start, but more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, dreams without goals are just dreams. And they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. Don't confuse movement with progress. Remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. What are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors, some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money, some of you have patience, some of you have kindness, some of you have love, some of you have the gift of long suffering. Whatever it is, whatever your gift is, what are you going to do with what you have? And it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Well, I have traveled the world, and I have spoke to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected, I've been directed, I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
Let's get everybody else back in the room. I think it was a really, really compelling series of speeches and talks from Denzel Washington talking about perseverance. So many nuggets to take away. We've got a few more minutes today, and I think I'm going to ask everybody to give me their favorite piece of that. But there was one question I want to ask before we do that. Why do you think he was really compelling when he said, you will fail, you will suck? And listening to an Academy Award winning, Tony Award winning, world-renowned actor talk about that was really inspiring to me. My question for this group is, why do you think it's so hard, especially, I think, for men of color, to fail? Why is it so hard for us to face failure? Or do you think it's, maybe you disagree with me. Do you think it's hard, I should say, for men of color to deal with failure? Or do you think we do it pretty well?
Yeah, I'll jump in first, but I think you're right. It is hard to fail, and I think it's because we just have less chances. We have less margin for error, right? It's kind of I think it might be Hamilton when he talked about having just one shot or something, right? Yeah. But it's true. With people of color, we just have that less margin of error where we can't. We just can't fail, or we feel like we can't fail, right? We have to make sure this works. This one career choice that we have, this job that we have to make it work, and we can't make sure we don't fail. So we just have that fear of losing everything, right, or just falling on our face. But I think that's partially why it's difficult, But again, when we talked about building character. Failing is part of what builds character, right? Persevering, you wouldn't be able to persevere if you never failed at anything, or if you weren't successful. So, it's not, I think people, especially people in our communities, have to realize it's not the end of the world when something doesn't go your way or something doesn't work out. It's just another chance to get up and try again.
Good set of thoughts, Isaiah. Anybody else?
Yes, one of my favorite quotes from Mr. Daniel was, "If you could fail, you fall forward." That is a very, very, very motivational speech right there. If you could fail, fall forward. My dad, always a proud father. He always had tough love on me. But when I fail, he doesn't get angry on me. The few times he doesn't get angry when I fail. And then he asks me a bunch of questions. He says, "Why did you fail? What happened? What got wrong? What could go better next time? What could he do? What can he improve?" So he asks a bunch of questions. And when I was a little younger, and he said, "What do you want to be?" I told him, "I want to be a computer engineer. That's my dream. I want to work on technology things," and so on and so forth. He also asked me these questions. And by the end of those questions, he says what his opinion is. And sometimes he's barely truthful. He says, "I don't think you'll be successful in that," or maybe, "I think you will be successful, but you gotta work harder on it." And then, when I wanted to be a computer science engineer, and I told him about it, and he asked me questions. I didn't know how to answer them. Well, what's the goals? What do you want to do? And he said, "You're gonna fail, but prove me wrong. Well, what are you gonna do next?" So he pushes you. He wants you to learn from your mistakes and how you can improve from those. Failure is viewed as a bad thing. You want to have a second shot on it, but it is important for your growth.
Really, really profound, Mustafa. Absolutely important for your growth.